I want to start by thanking you for being alderman and mayor. It's a lot of responsibilities you take on. And I'm here to talk about Rule 3 in your rules for these meetings. And that's one responsibility you don't have to take on, which is speech police. Now, you might say that's part of my job. I signed up for it. If you think that Rule 3 is the wrong way to go about it, terms like profanity, vulgarity, civil language, they're vague, they're ambiguous, they're open to interpretation. What's profane? The F word, I think we could all say that is probably GD, but then there's a lot of gray. Let me give you some examples. A person who talks here on a regular basis comes up here, his first name could qualify as a profanity. A few months ago, another guy who speaks here, Glenn, was up here. I remember because I was here, and he used the word poo. He was describing what was coming out of his sewer pipes into his sink. Now, what if he had used, Glenn's a stand-up guy, but what if he's used the CR word or the SH word? And you shut him down, right? You'd be saying that, hey, gutter language is more important than gutter-borne diseases. Let me give you another a possible hypothetical. Someone comes in and he just praises the DPW. Damn good bunch of guys. They work hard. The city streets are in great shape. Can't say enough about them. Then 2 weeks later, someone else comes in and says the exact opposite. They're lazy, they're incompetent, they're corrupt, slurs, he uses slurs, profanities, and you shut them down. Well, that's a problem because it's both our political speech, both are commenting on a city function, but you're allowing complimentary speech, but censoring critical speech, right? If you pass the committee's recommendations for Rule 3, I think any profanity or vulgarities will be rare. Most Manchester people are respectful, like the people who have come up tonight. They honor this place, right? Your good behavior, they model your good behavior. And I'd encourage you in your introduction to encourage civil language and civil speech. But what if the worst happens and someone starts rambling and starts swearing and terrible stuff, right? Well, the mayor can still ask him to stop. I wouldn't be against you turning off the TV feed. And if he continues on and on, well, he can be removed, right? The actions can be taken. We at the New England First Amendment Coalition encourage you to adopt the changes recommended by the Committee on Administration and Information Systems. Thank you.
Mark Hayward has already spoken. Mark is a member of our New Hampshire committee. Our organization is comprised of journalists, attorneys, academics, and activists, and people who just love the First Amendment. It is the opinion of the New England First Amendment Coalition that your current Rule 3 is not constitutional. I will say that here in New Hampshire, the Constitution protects free speech in an even stronger fashion than does the First Amendment. Free speech is sacrosanct. And the Supreme Court of the United States, in the case of Texas v. Johnson, and I wrote this in a letter to you all on April 15th, Supreme Court has said that if there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. Simply put, the First Amendment protects the speech that we hate. And I can give you examples from across the country and from the Supreme Court where there is vulgarity that's been protected. We certainly, as a coalition, do not condone it. We hope that it is never a problem for this board or the mayor, but to me, it is a matter of constitutional law that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society or the government finds that idea or that speech offensive or disagreeable. I would suggest that NEFAC's recommended language, which starts off, speakers are encouraged to be civil in their language and presentation, is a constitutional rule that still gives this board, as Mr. Hayward said, the ability to remove a person whose conduct is disorderly, for example, but not because of a word that they use. A woman who spoke earlier said that people have told her to blank herself or blank
30
off.
seconds.
And that's respectful, and that's what we hope citizens of Manchester will continue to be. But as currently standing, Rule 3 will not pass constitutional muster. Thank you all.
So as it stands, my expert opinion is that the rule as it currently is written is unconstitutional. It's true that this is what's called a limited public forum, which gives you some latitude to control the speech that is expressed here, but it still requires a legitimate government purpose, and a blanket ban on profanity and vulgarity and incivility most likely exceeds that. It's difficult being a constitutional law professor these days because everybody's asking me to predict what the court would do, and that's always a fraught exercise. But I think that I'm fairly confident that if this rule were tested, it would be found unconstitutional by the federal courts. But quite apart from whether or not something is unconstitutional or not, I think the First Amendment is more than just a rule of how to make laws and what laws states are permitted to make. It expresses something more fundamental. It's something about the spirit of the country and the idea that we value freedom, and in particular, the freedom of expression. And so even if it were that the rule could survive constitutional scrutiny, you should still amend the law because it is in the spirit of an open liberal democracy where speech is welcomed that we should invite the kinds of speech that we find offensive or that we find problematic. I mean, it's interesting to me when I teach for the First Amendment in classrooms. A lot of times, my students will say, "Well, I believe in free speech. I very much believe in free speech, but within limits." And it always strikes me as being somewhat ironic that they don't see the dissonance between saying that there's a limit to it. This is an easy vote for you, I think. I recognize that you're faced with a lot of very difficult problems, budgets that you can't make the numbers square. But here, this is costless. It's very easy to vote in favor of the Constitution, in favor of freedom, and against arbitrary, prudish reservations about what people say. And,
30 seconds.
Yeah, and it seems to me that you still retain control to maintain order and decorum here, and the proceedings might be a little bit more entertaining if you allow a little bit of vulgarity. So, thank you very much. I urge you to vote in favor of the amendment.
So, I think we just heard from a few members of the public who support the change. One, I would say that we don't stop anybody from saying anything. I've heard mentally ill people talk about numbers and predicting the future. We've heard people talk about, and people can come here and talk about anything they want. We don't stop any type of speech. Also, we allow banners. We just don't allow them to block our thing. Now, I did send out the case, FCC versus Pacifica Foundation, U.S. Supreme Court case. I believe it's still good law from 1978, although not exactly on point. What it said is that George Carlin's 7 Dirty Words skit, one of them was the F word, one of them was the C word, one of them was the MF word, that the FCC could restrict the broadcast of these words. I would point out that 2 things. One, our meetings are broadcast to the city of Manchester and beyond. And you can also watch it on the computer. I routinely watch meetings on the computer. So it's going into people's houses just like in the FCC case. Secondly, we routinely have young children here. Tonight we had a 7-year-old girl. So we shouldn't be dropping F words and see if you can't express your ideas. We routinely do this all the time. The members of the Republic routinely express ideas without swearing. If you can't express yourself without swearing, then you have a problem with you. Now, but anyways, I think our current rules are fine. And again, we routinely have school children here from different sports teams, from different schools, and we shouldn't be allowing vulgarities. There is some law. I know I sent it to Attorney Rice and Attorney Chiesa, but I believe we do have the power to restrict, because we're broadcasting and because we have children here, to ask people not to use vulgarities. And I think our current rules that when we first came in back in January of '24, we worked on the rules. I think they're serving us fine and we don't need to change them. Thank you.
Additional discussion. Alderman Long.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the members of the public that spoke were experts in the field. And I'm going to take, there were experts in the field, and I'm going to take their recommendation. And personally, I like whether somebody uses any vulgarity when children are here is going to happen no matter what the rule is. They're just going to use it, and we're going to do whatever we're going to do. So I would rather suggest, suggesting to people that they try to keep the decorum instead of saying shall. I'd rather suggest it to them. So
Just as I respect your opinion, but asking people has no teeth whatsoever. There's no, just asking somebody, and I don't know. But anyways, I won't belabor the point.
I mean, last year we had Alderman Cantor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to question the state reps about this. How do they do it in Concord? Because when I've gone up to testify, everything's been, it might be passionate, but it's always respectful. And I didn't feel in fear when I was there talking about hot topics. But in January, February, and March of last year, it was awful, singing the song, from the Palestinians. I mean, it's just too much. So I'm just curious on how it is, compared to Concord, and what's the verbiage? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do they act that? I didn't see anyone act that.
yeah, I've been there for nine terms, but and I've never heard any vulgar language. There's no rule that says you can't use vulgar language. We've just never heard it.
So, I mean, as we all remember, we had a number of months, a number of meetings last year where there was significant disruption repeatedly over the course of multiple meetings. At the request of some of the members here, including Alderman Cantor, who was passionate about this as well, I asked the solicitor, I asked the clerk to do a review of all the rules that are around the state. And that included Concord as well, which is where we got the changes to the banner from, was what they do up in Concord. I think that the changes we made last year were prudent. I think that they were appropriate. I don't think that we need to support them. I believe they passed constitutional muster. I think those are the conversations that I had with the solicitor and with the clerk as well. So I would support the motion to receive and file. Is there any additional? Yes, Alderman Sapienza.
Whether it's constitutional or not, it's a bad look for us to limit people's speech. If somebody wants to come here and use profanities, they're going to look like a knucklehead. That's the penalty they're going to pay. But I've been here for 10 years. You're the third mayor I've served under. Every single mayor from either party, they have people come up, say all kinds of nasty things to them. That's part of the job. They come, they say nasty things, then they go away. All of a sudden, we got to have this big reaction because some people came here, expressed themselves. I just think it's outrageous that we changed. I thought it was outrageous when we changed the rules, and I think we ought to, limiting speech is crazy. This is America, last I knew.
Thank you again. I believe in freedom of speech, but everyone deserves to feel safe, and it's just insanity. My Jewish friends did not feel safe coming here last year. They couldn't come and voice their concerns. This is real, and this is not okay. And I'm sticking with, leaving it the way it is. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion before us to receive and file. All those in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call from Alderman Long.
Okay. Alderman Long.
No.
Alderman Fajardo.
No.
Alderman Tony Sapienza.
No.
Alderman Cantor.
Yes.
Alderman O'Neill.
No.
Alderman Lavasser. No. Alderman Terrio.
Yes.
Alderman Ed Sapienza.
Yes.
Alderman Burkish.
No.
Alderman Berry.
No.
Alderman Vincent,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
Yes.
Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Goonan.
No.
Motion passes 8-6.
No, fails.
Motion fails, sorry, 8-6.
Okay. Moving into regular business.
Your Honor.
So we need a motion to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, motion to approve, item 11?
So we have a motion to approve by Alderman Long, second by Alderman Sapienza. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call it.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion is to approve item 11. Roll call vote by Alderman Sapienza. How do you vote? No. Alderman Burkish?
Yes.
Alderman Berry? Yes. Alderman Vincent?
No.
Alderman Thomas?
No.
Alderman Morgan?
No.
Alderman Goonan?
Yes.
Alderman Long?
Yes.
Alderman Fajardo?
Yes.
Alderman Tony Sapienza?
Yes.
Alderman Cantor?
No.
Alderman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Lavasser? Alderman Terrio?
No.
Motion passes 8-6.